come over here. I want to show you something. The future.
Man had real talent, man.
He was my idol coming up, man.
Shut up, stupid. Shut your trap.
So honestly, I'll beat the both of these asses, and I mean it. I'm dead serious. I'm not even playing.
You see, Patrice, your friends can't believe you died. They're very sad.
Patrice O'Neal. We love him. We miss him. To this day, his presence has remained irreplaceable. Despite a limited stand-up catalog, the impact that he made is undeniable. Legends like Norman Louis said he was one of the greats.
Patrice, who to me is one of the greatest of all time.
Sure. For sure.
Patrice is by far, he owns a part of comedy that nobody else can touch.
Yes.
There's other people that have like categories where they're number 1 or 2 in the bench, but he's the only fucking guy who ever did that. And he was just about to get even better, and he was already just, he would now be just everything.
The reason I loved Patrice was he had his own truth, and he was going to tell you, and he wasn't going to take any prisoners. And that's a giant void to fill, Patrice O'Neal, because I felt he was the funniest guy in the world when he passed away.
Due to his abilities that have remained unmatched, he has become one of comedy's biggest what-if stories, leaving people to speculate nonstop what his thoughts on today's world would be. One of the biggest debates, specifically among the fans, is what he would think about stand-up and what it's become. With endless speculation regarding comedians he was friends with during his life, most commonly Kevin Hart. As Kevin went on to become one of the biggest names in the entertainment industry, it has led to a never-ending debate about how Patrice would feel regarding the path that Kevin chose.
Come on, listen. I'm going to tell you something about that. I'm going to tell y'all something. Webster!
But before I jump into Kev or what Patrice might have said to him, let me give you a quick summary on who Patrice actually was. His personality is truly the driving factor here. Remembered as one of the most straightforward people we've seen in recent memory, he was the same honest person on stage, off stage, talking to comedians, actors, or producers alike. Most importantly, especially to Patrice, was staying honest to himself, refusing to sugarcoat anything just to soften uncomfortable truths. If you are unaware, in 2011, he passed away from a stroke provoked by his diabetes. And if you don't know what diabetes is, nobody explains it better than Patrice.
Because diabetes, look, first of all, I don't support it. If I didn't have it, I could give it's just, whatever, dude, really. Can't eat cookies. I don't care.
Passing away at just 41 years old, his career in stand-up was short-lived, but luckily there are hundreds of hours of him on Opie and Anthony, as well as a few episodes of his own Black Phillip show. A silver-tongued devil that could analyze a person or situation in the blink of an eye, and most of the room would end up agreeing with him. His presence alone would strike the fear of God into comedians. Being over 6 feet tall and 300 pounds were the least intimidating features about him. If a joke bombed, he became the loudest heckler in the room.
Before I drop one of these bombs, can I watch Taxi one more time? Actually, I don't write my own stuff. Well, if you watch, first of all, if you watch Friends, you realize that that Rachel's not really the peacemaker. Good point. Holy Christ, I never thought I could top your bomb with a worse bomb. I was talking about bombing. Please bail us out. Come on.
I'm not going to bail. I'm going to strap one of your jokes to myself and run through Palestine.
With a brutal honesty that would make immigrant parents blush, he wasn't one for polite lies. And the coup de grace was the rest of the room would break out in laughter. The way he manipulated humor is why comics adored him. His take no prisoners attitude is why fans can't get enough of him. When you couple that attitude with his openness to admit hating the whole song and dance with the industry, that's how we ended up here to begin with. A big portion of Patrice fans believe he would have some choice words for Kev, specifically citing a conversation on air with Opie and Anthony as hard evidence. I'm constantly coming across comments saying Patrice would have been calling him a sellout. He's lucky Patrice isn't here to expose him. He would have been throwing another phone book at him.
I remember telling this joke and a phone book comes flying on the stage. Patrice threw a fucking phone book at me. I'm talking, we're at the Boston Comedy Club. It's people in the crowd.
Tiny little place.
All you heard was, and you sit back, it hits the floor. And I said, yo, what the fuck was that? And Patrice said, read it. There's better material in it than what you're saying now.
But where it really gets interesting is the video of Kevin on Opie and Anthony's show. You find a few comments pointing out that Patrice was aware even back then. He knew what the future held for Kevin Hart selling out, even alluding to the fact that Kevin Hart has never been funny. The conversation was right at the birth of Kevin's path to success. Patrice calls into the show with a message for Little Kev the Bastard, asking on the call what put Kevin over the top.
Here's what I want to know. What put you over the top, Kev? Because we sit here and we cry, wondering what the fuck put you to that level. Was it Soul Plane?
I don't, you know the sad part, Trees?
Was it the fucking So Seriously Funny?
I think it. I'm gonna tell you what.
Become a household name.
That was a.
I'm sorry. These are things I have to find out because after this horseshit phone call, we'll never talk again.
The call that I'm talking about, according to the uploader, aired 2010. Now, I'll get back to why the call itself is important, but let's fast forward just for a bit and let's talk about a more modern comic who has almost the exact same message. Cat Williams. He went on Club Shay Shay, said Kevin is an industry plant, he isn't funny. He spoke on the whole shady practices of Hollywood. It was almost like he was reviving the voice of Patrice O'Neal. He even goes on to say he's a fan of great comedians who have mastered the craft, listing Patrice among those comics.
In 15 years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show, there being a line for him ever getting a standing ovation at any comedy club. He already had his deals when he got here. Have we heard of a comedian that came to L.A. and in his first year in L.A. he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? No, we've never heard of that before that person or since that person. What do you think a plant is? Maybe people don't understand the definitions of these words. I like great comedians, like I like Chappelle, I like Patrice O'Neal, like I like the greats of comedy because I do.
Honestly, it's not looking good for Kevin. It really appears that Patrice, Kat, and the fans all agree Kevin is an unfunny sellout on top of being a plant. It's just undeniable at this point. Right? Right? Well, not exactly. Yes, it's true. Patrice was in constant fights with the industry, refusing to conform to their idea of funny, always battling to stay true to himself with what he publicly called a dirty business during his last TV performance on the Charlie Sheen roast, even commending Sheen for his stance against said business.
I think that his stand that he made against the business, I think this is a fucked up business, but he stood up, he still survived, and he proved that nobody can keep like a Sheen down, you know?
But all that aside, Patrice was also well aware that his struggles with the industry were a direct result of his own actions. On top of that, unlike Kat, he didn't mind comedians blowing up and becoming household names. There's an occasion during an episode of Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn, which, by the way, Comedy Central, will you drop a DVD box set already? Come on.
No, I don't really feel like it.
On that day, all 4 guests that Colin invited were, and continue to this day, to be black. And to the surprise of nobody, the conversation steered to the topic of racism. Colin made the joke saying white people will admit racism exists as long as black people give a date on when they're going to stop talking about it. As Flex Alexander, who had the most successful career of anyone on the show at that time, was going to fire back with a similar question, mentioning the Holocaust, to which Patrice quickly jumps up telling them, no, don't.
We can say the same thing about the Holocaust. We can
Thank
say the same
you.
thing.
Oh, wait a minute. Easy. You got to show. You got to show, Flex. Who cares? Let me handle this. I'm a loser. You're on TV. Don't do this. Don't say Holocaust. Just give it to me.
Listen.
When are we going to be able to say the Holocaust was this many years ago? All right, get over it.
So it's safe to assume Patrice was aware of his own stance with the industry and his place in it, but he also didn't want to see someone else jeopardize what they managed to achieve. And now that I rewatched that segment, I realized that's probably why we don't have a box set for Tough Crowd. Another prime example of Patrice having no issues with successful comedians is someone you might have heard of once by the name of Dane Cook. He was also among the comics coming up around the time Patrice got into the business. At his peak, Dane was the biggest name in comedy, and no, I'm not exaggerating, even a little bit. At some point, he became the Nickelback of comedy, and everyone decided it was cool to shit on Dane. It got to the point where he pulled a Chappelle and even vanished for a while. Or maybe it was all the joke-stealing allegations. I don't know, folks, but this isn't about that. It's about his friend Patrice and a specific instance where he was on Opie and Anthony and someone else by the name of Mark Maron walks into the studio. Over 14 years ago, Maron had Dane on his podcast, and I know this is going to shock everybody. Maron brags about how he was bashing Patrice's boy, saying Dane isn't interesting and he has no depth.
WTFpod.com. I think what's up there today, there's some good ones up there. I did Dane, your buddy Dane came on and I was an asshole to him.
Why did you think you had to be?
I did. What else am I going to do?
And yes, I know what you're thinking. Mark Maron bashing a comedian? Not my Marky Mark. It couldn't be. Surely he was having a bad day. I'll never hear him gatekeeping comedy ever again. To which I'm going to have to look you in the eyes and just say,
surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Anyways, Patrice asks him why he felt the need to bash on Dane, feeling that Mark Maron only did it for the younger douchebags who wish they were Dane, even defending his comedy routine, saying Dane just doesn't want to do pain comedy. That's not him.
Attack Dane because you have to talk to him. I'm telling you, I'm not mad at Dane. You know why? I'm not mad at him because I fucking know him.
Yeah.
And I talk to him, and I know that motherfucker. What he's doing is honest. He does not want to do fucking pain comedy that digs deep. He don't.
Right, he's not deep, and he's not interesting. I agree.
Oh,
and
see,
wow, Mark
come on, Mark.
Damn, Mark.
Don't do that, man. Dude,
Smooth move, Patrice. I can't believe you defended a hack like that. And if you still aren't convinced, let's talk about this one time during the green room with Paul Provenza. Patrice asked Bob Saget, rest in peace by the way, if he didn't have kids, would he still have done Full House and America's Funniest Home Video?
You have no children. Do you do Full House and do you do America's Funniest Home Videos if you didn't have any kids? And I'm not disrespecting, but I'm asking you that.
So the answer is, would I do it over again? This is the path. You go through the doors that open. And if a door doesn't open, you can't push on it because you're fucked.
Yeah.
So, I would play the gay father of 3 again.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And he follows it by what I think is one of the most important details.
I don't judge people in Hollywood that do anything because you just don't know, man. If Steven Spielberg says, hey, you're going to be in Jaws 12.
If you get a call from Steven Spielberg and he says you're in Jaws 12, you're going to be chum.
Which brings us back to Kevin and fan speculation of Patrice calling him out. Honestly, thinking that Patrice would have any type of issues with Kev is as silly as the people saying Patrice was his blood sacrifice. Yeah, a 300-pound self-aware man about the direction his health was headed. That was Kev's sacrifice. You heard it yourself from Patrice's own mouth 3 different times. But Fiend, what about the call with Opie and Anthony? I'm glad you asked. So, he's asking Kevin what put him over, even asking, is it Soul Plane? Mentioning how he doesn't have Kev's number anymore, how Kev runs the other way whenever he sees him in public. Yeah, all of that is true. It was said on air. However, the full context is conveniently being ignored. Disgruntled fans, for some reason, push a false narrative that they built in their own head. Patrice O'Neal is their best friend, and they are some schoolyard bullies putting little Kev the sellout in his place, kicking sand all over his face. The thing is, When you take these fan fiction fantasies and put them back into the deepest recesses of their brain where they should have stayed, it's clear that Patrice admired what Kev was already becoming. Patrice goes on to say, as much as I try to hate on Kev, that Seriously Funny had me in tears. Kev is a funny guy.
And by the way, as much as I try to hate on Kev, that fucking Seriously Funny had me in tears. Kevin's just a funny guy. Man.
Thank you, man.
That shit was fucking funny. But, this is a fun conversation because I ain't talked to the nigga in a long time. But
they reminisce about living at Kevin's house and all the shenanigans that they went through. They even begin busting Jim Norton's balls just because. And Patrice even goes on to say it was a fun conversation because they haven't spoken in a long time, sounding like he genuinely just misses his friend, even admitting he's both proud and jealous, but he can't stay mad at him because he's funny and masterful at Hollywood, saying he was smart for leaving as soon as he got the chance.
I'm proud and jealous at the same time. It'd be nice to hear he got stabbed or something.
Oh, yeah.
I can't stay mad at him because he's funny and he's masterful at Hollywood. I wish I could take a page out of him, but the thing is, and the other thing I'm hoping happens is that he gets old and he stops being cute and he starts to look like Gary Coleman.
Wow, Patrice, you really showed him that little sellout. This leads me to beg the question, where do these so-called fans of Patrice draw these conclusions from? The comic, whose entire career was stifled knowingly through his own actions, and never feared honesty that even William Shatner had to say, "You're telling it as it is," as Patrice held nothing back on the roast. That same man decided that during the phone call he was going to deliver some cryptic, deep-layered message about how Kevin's a Hollywood sellout. I don't buy it. Not for 1 second. Patrice was a man who stood on what he believed, and if he did feel some type of way about what Kevin or his success was doing, he would have flat out said that. He definitely wouldn't hold back on calling someone unfunny. He loved telling comedians their joke was bombing.
Now listen to me. First of all, does he have a microchip that says do a damn goofy Vietnamese voice every 5 minutes?
You don't understand. You know, that fan in Vietnamese, that means not funny.
Don't
worry.
Will you please unplug yourself from the Vietnamese matrix for 5 minutes, please?
What these fans really need to do is just say you're not a fan of Kevin Hart for whatever reason. Patrice never had to hide behind anyone else to justify his feelings. If anything, that's the exact behavior Patrice would have been shitting on.
I'll say I don't like something, but you can look through things. You see how you put that together? Like, that was so amazing. That was an amazing analogy, amazing synopsis that you said. Wasn't even thinking that. Because I try not to live my life pretentiously, but that is how pretentious everybody is, so that you have to come up with these grandiose ideas of somebody being that pretentious. That's amazingly pretentious if somebody did that.
Be a man and stop looking to validate your hate through a comedian's corpse already. I'm out.